up, Wavehealernation? Welcome back to the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am excited. I am very grateful. I am sitting with a really, really amazing guest, and she has come and spent a little bit of time with us. Everyone, I am sitting with the creator and producer of the show that is currently on Fox and Hulu right now, The Cleaning Lady, and she has a really amazing life, and she does a lot of other things, and we're going to talk about that. So please welcome to the show, Miranda Kwok. Miranda, thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Hi, Justin. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So I just want to dive right into it. I'm just really excited. First of all, you just recently signed with WME, which is a very prestigious agency in the industry. And I know that was definitely a journey for you. So congratulations on that. That's uh, really exciting.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate that. Interesting enough, it was Ari Greenberg, the president of WE, who managed to reach out to sign me.
Yeah, no, that's great. And yeah, like I said, you've kind of done almost a little bit of everything in the industry. So with that, you were the creator on The Cleaning Lady. Very interesting show in the fact that I think it covers a lot of prevalent topics, and the fact that it is about these immigrant women who come over to the States, and they are essentially just cleaning ladies. But they wound up getting into some situations with some mobsters, and they wound up getting some big gigs. And it's kind of it's very prevalent in the fact that we can't just make it in today's society off a minimum wage normal 9 to 5 job. So we have to hustle and do other things, but lo and behold, I'm not sure that that's exactly what they had in mind. So with that, can you tell us a little bit about how did you come up with the idea for the show? I know it was inspired by other events, and then how once it got greenlit, how involved were you with casting and bringing some of the episodes to life?
Oh, yes. So this show was originally inspired by an Argentinian format, which is called the Chica que Limpia, and that was a project optioned by Warner Brothers and Shane Mitchell. I had a blind script deal, and so I, pitched a few ideas to them, and they pitched a few ideas to me, including La Chica Limpia. So I was inspired to adapt that project so that I could bring in all those relevant topics about undocumented immigrants and issues that people face when they come to this country. It was particularly that she was a doctor in her own country, but her credentials don't translate here. And so she is, stuck doing these other kinds of jobs that don't, necessarily fit her education. But that is a story that is, so prevalent in our society. And it is a very common story among immigrants. And so that is one of the aspects that I wanted to put at the forefront of the show and really highlight some of the struggles that people face. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of people who don't have opportunity or resources. And so, sometimes they don't end up making the best decisions, but sometimes, they don't have a lot of options in front of them. And, the other sort of theme or element I wanted to dig into and highlight in the show is that, Tony and Fiona, they're both trying to do their best for their families.
Mm-hmm.
And, they don't want to get into crime. That was never something they thought about, and especially Tony, she probably, has never even broken the law before now, but she had to make some hard choices for her son. And she also had to figure out a way to stay alive when confronted with the mob. Mm-hmm. So, those are the choices that she was forced to make, but she's always going to be grappling with, her decisions and trying to maintain her moral center.
Yeah, I really related to that myself because my dad and his family come from Guatemala. And I mean, I still am hearing stories from, uh, you know, things that they had to go through. It was especially hard for my grandma when she first came over so many years ago. She didn't speak the language, she didn't know anybody. She would just go knocking from door to door on different homes, just, trying to get started and find a place to live. And I think about the life that she has, compared to the life that I've been able to have being born here. And then I also relate to my mother. She's a Caucasian lady, and was born and raised here in the States. But I'm an only child, and I was raised by her. So the fact that in the show, the main character does literally any and all means to take care of her son. That really hit home for me too, because I'm looking and thinking at myself. It's like, yeah, my mom didn't come from another country, but like, geez, what has she gone through that I don't know about that she had to go through in order to make it work for me? Um, so it just hit me on so many levels. So with that too, Miranda, I mean, how close to home does this hit for you?
Yeah, my parents immigrated as well from Hong Kong and China, and
Mm-hmm.
so and then I am also an immigrant from Canada to the States.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have our journey, and that's what's so interesting too. Is like there are so many different stories and amazing stories of people who come from so many places
Yeah.
to be here, and all the risks and the sacrifices that they've made, so that we can strive for more, and definitely feel very fortunate for the opportunities that they provided for me, by coming here, by being here, as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I might have overwhelmed you a little bit, but going back to it, how involved were you with bringing, uh, with casting, with working with the actors, and with bringing the show to life, or did you take more of a kind of a big picture overall backseat to it?
Oh no, very involved with every aspect of the show, of the production. I so initially after the original format was brought to me, I developed that for 5 months with Warner Brothers before we went out to pitch it to Fox. Once Fox picked it up, then I wrote the script, and then they greenlit the pilot episode.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, very involved with every aspect of production, finding the actors, the director, and building the whole team, being on set for production, and in every aspect of it, and then down to the production design, the costume design, every little prop that is used. Definitely, am involved with. So then once the pilot is shot and the show gets picked up to series, then we get a writer's room together to write the script, to figure out what the journey is for every single character, what the arc is for the season, and then we start writing the scripts, assigning episodes. Again, just working on every script as well, very carefully, and then production on the entire series starts. So it's all one big moving fast train, but definitely am a part of that all.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think that people sometimes forget, it's that back end work that a lot of people don't see. That really does bring a project to life, and it's those connections with everybody involved. And it shows. With that too, I want to back you up a little bit too, Miranda. Like I said, you've done a lot of different things. You're an actor yourself. So when you were first starting off, you were first getting into the industry, and just kind of learning that this is something that path you wanted to follow. What kind of started taking off first? Was it your acting career, or was it your writing career, or did you start producing stuff and that led to something? Because I think people, they have sometimes like this streamlined idea of like this is how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and they hold on to that idea, but that's not always how that happens. So, what was it like for you?
Well, exactly. There's no direct path. There's no set path. So I was fortunate enough to go to a school of the arts when I was young,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was really my first exposure to the arts and to storytelling. And so I started in front of the camera and got my first agents when I was 16, and had various roles both in Canada and the U.S. I came to Los Angeles to continue my acting career, and that's where I met so many amazing writers and directors and realized there's so many other opportunities. And I'm not exactly the kind of person to wait for my phone to ring. So at first I thought I would start producing. Somebody in Toronto actually said, "Oh, Miranda's in LA, she can produce for us." And I realized that it's such a challenge to get anything made, whether it's something that you think is commercial or is a passion project. And I realized that if I'm going to put that kind of effort and energy into trying to get something made, then it has to be something that I really care about and a story that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that to tell the kinds of stories that I wanted to tell, I had to write. So the first script that I really wrote and dug into was about the comfort women, which is basically before and during World War II, the Japanese military abducted over 200,000 women and forced them into sexual slavery to serve their troops. And so that is a story that, was buried for 50 years. And so when I learned about it, I felt so ignorant, not knowing anything about this, this tragedy that happened. And so I just became really determined to tell that story, and wrote my first screenplay that way. And it literally kept me up at night. My roommate said that I should set an alarm clock for when I should go to sleep, because I was just determined to write it. And I didn't really have any formal training in screenwriting either. I'm self-taught because I started as an actor. I read scripts, I read books on how to write screenplays, feature screenplays, and then fortunately that screenplay ended up winning the Slam Dance Screenplay competition.
Yeah.
So that, I guess, was my first, breakthrough in as a writer. But even then, it still took time because I didn't have any other scripts to present. It still took time to get my first agent and to start a writing career as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Congratulations. I would say that, I speak for everybody when I say we are very grateful for the passion, to set an alarm clock to go to sleep, and the fact that, it really meant something to you. And we know that you worked hard, and you wanted to get that story out there to be able to share it with others. And speaking of that, being a woman in the industry, being somebody from another country in the industry, and bringing these important stories to life. How has that been for you, especially now with such a positive feedback from the cleaning lady? And I know that, what was it like kind of when you first started in the entertainment industry versus now? Because I know we're kind of having a shift. Are you seeing more opportunities open up? I know that these are hitting home for you. So what has that journey been like for you?
Oh, absolutely. There are more opportunities. And part of that is, again, you have to create your own opportunities sometimes. Mm-hmm. When I started as an actor, there were very limited roles and opportunities available, especially because everyone would just see me as an Asian woman. And, whatever stereotypes that conjures up for them, you're kind of locked in. As much as, I personally try to defy those stereotypes, mm-hmm. right? I rode a motorcycle, I, played rugby and, did other things to break those stereotypes. And I think that's how I've always carried myself as a person. And so that's part of the reasoning behind, creating my own stories, telling my, different kinds of stories that I would be interested in watching. Mm-hmm. And, it has, of course, been a journey. They say it took 20 years to become an overnight success, which is absolutely true, because there's a lot of work to be done along the way. But, all those experiences that I've had all helped lend to creating this show and the possibility of having this show. And, when I did pitch the project, I definitely brought up the aspects of, being an immigrant. Even though I came from Canada, which is a lot easier than coming from some other countries,
Mm.
there's still challenges that you face, and there's still obstacles that you meet. And again, there is no direct path. You kind of have to figure it out. And I think in sharing that story, that really helped speak to, both Studio Network, Warner Brothers, and Fox, and listening to my perspective and hearing about the struggles that I was able to overcome. Obviously all that speaks to the character of Tony as well. And so I think they were really excited to, be able to, have an authentic voice behind this story. So I think that right now, at the same time, I think I totally lucked out in that, this is right now a great time for stories like this, because it has been more difficult in the past to tell stories about marginalized voices. And even as I was developing with Warner Brothers, I thought that I would pitch this to cable and streaming, which is where stories like this normally land.
Mm-hmm.
And they said to me, right now there is a greater appetite in audience in broadcast television for different perspectives and different voices. And so we'd like to pitch this to broadcast first. So I said, sure, I don't want to change the story much because this is the story I want to tell. And, if someone wants to pick it up, that's great. So we pitched it to the 5 networks. Fox was the first, and they picked it up immediately and totally embraced the perspective of this being from, the whole show being taken from the lens of a Southeast Asian female character.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up too because I personally, and I think it's a great thing. I like seeing these types of stories across all mediums of entertainment, and I think we need it in all mediums of entertainment, not just movies, which is great. But well, you're right, we need it in TV, we need it in comic books, we need it in animation, we need it in books, everywhere, right? So I'm glad that this, and I think with a TV show, yes, it's actually really cool because you can kind of dive deeper into the story a little bit more because you have a little bit more leeway to do so with multiple episodes, multiple seasons. Um, so very cool. Thank you for sharing that. You touched on it before I did. Miranda, you do a lot of other different things. You're a motorcyclist. You're a black belt martial artist. You played rugby. You do all these other things. So, do all these things help fill you up and keep you inspired and creative? Or were these just other things that you just like to do when you're not writing scripts?
I like to tackle any challenges that come my way. I grew up with an older brother, and so, anything he did, I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my brother was one who got a motorcycle first, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be on the back seat, so I'm going to get my license too. So I think, he was definitely an inspiration for me growing up. And really it's about just, challenging yourself to do new things, to try new things, and again, not to let other people, typecast you or dictate what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, when I did rugby, it was the first time that we had women's rugby in a high school. And in fact, we ended up being classified as a club because, some of the teachers were afraid to even sign off on it as a sport. And so we basically got passed pushed through as a women's rugby club and not a sport in the school because they were afraid that, the girls are going to get hurt. But we proved differently.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. I feel like everybody like we just want to hang out with you. I was like, whoa, what adventure are you getting into this weekend? So that's super cool. A couple more questions and we'll get you out of here, Miranda. like I said, you started, as an actor, but you're also a writer, you're a producer, and you do all these other things. When you're approaching a project, or any production, what is the most, I guess, kind of fun, cathartic, healing, inspirational part for you? Is it acting in a show? Is it writing for a show? Is it producing for a show? Or is it kind of a combination of everything? Like, where do you find that it brings you the most joy, to be able to share and work on these projects?
Well, yes, it's all part of one thing, which is about storytelling and telling stories that matter. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that is what fulfills me more than anything, is being able to tell a story that makes an impact, and in whatever form that is. And I think the writing ends up being the most fulfilling in that, it allows me to write whatever I choose to write about. Obviously there's, different, you know, people who have ideas and add to, what those stories are, and help shape those stories. Other writers and the network, the studio, everyone has an influence. But in terms of telling the kinds of stories that I want to tell, and fighting for those stories, I'm more able to do that as a writer, as a producer. I mean, in television, writers are producers, and it is actually the writer, producers, creators that drive the series, that drive the stories that are being told on their shows.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. To kind of put a cap on this, Miranda, going back to, you recently just got signed with WME. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's a miracle for anybody, let alone someone like you who continues to break down boundaries, and continues to defy, um, like you said, stereotypes in the industry. How did that happen? You said somebody had reached, the president had originally reached out to you. But I mean, again, I'm just learning about agencies. I'm just learning about relationship building, and this type of thing in the industry. So, did you kind of have your eyes set on WME, or did you ever think that you would be in this position, when you started so long ago? Because it's really something to celebrate.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It has been a journey, and I can tell you that for sure. I was when I was in Toronto, I was with one of the top agencies there as an actor, the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And, coming to LA, I basically had to start with nothing. I literally came here with nothing, with no job, no car. I didn't have a work visa to begin with. I started as a visitor from Canada, and I had to find an agent who would represent me.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't start at WME
Right.
or any of the big agencies. There's like a book, and it tells you like, oh, what agents are looking at new clients, and they even tell you like, don't show up in person, just mail a photo and resume.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I decided not to listen. I decided to walk in the door and put my photo and resume down in front of people, where I was able to just say hi and meet them. And that's how I managed to get my first agent, as an actor, as a model, and I got my first visa that way. So I was able to finally get a work visa to be in this country, and stay rather. And so from there, to get to being represented by the president of WME, was a 20-year journey.
Yeah.
Where everything is based on your credits and your experiences, and what you have. And since I had nothing, it took a while to get there. So even when I won Slam Dance Screenplay Competition, I started with a boutique agency, and again had to build my career. Eventually, landed at various agents along the way, including CAA. Then there was an issue with the WGA, where, all, we had to basically leave our agents. And so, so I was unrepresented for, about a year or so. And as I was, considering going back to an agency, it was something that, the agent area was speaking to Warner Brothers, and just started randomly raving about the cleaning lady. And the executive said, "Did you know that's my show?" And he said, "No, I just rarely watch broadcast television, and this is something that drew me in." And she said, "Yeah, well, that's my show." And, Miranda Kwok is the, creator of that show. We worked on, developed it together. And so that's how the connection was made. And so then he reached out, to find out more about me. And, that's how that connection happened.
Yeah, that's so cool. And congratulations again. Miranda, you are such a hope and inspiration to a lot of different kind of people, but especially Asian women, and especially people who just came here and didn't have anything, or kind of started from zero, even if they are here, like you did. So thank you so much. And again, congratulations. Miranda, we're gonna get you out of here. I hope, I'm grateful to have had this opportunity just to be able to talk to you. I hope to get to meet you soon. But this last question I asked to all my guests, um, and this is for everybody. Everybody needs a little pick me up, especially now, with everything going on in the world. But what thought, idea, wish, prayer, mantra, hope, whatever it is, like what would you like to leave all of the listeners of the Wave Healer Nation with out there?
Generally speaking, my greatest hope for everyone is just to have a greater understanding, empathy, and compassion for other people.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I think, the biggest theme of the cleaning lady, and that is really what I hope to instill in people more than anything else, is that I hope people come away watching that, feeling more empathy and compassion for other people, and start to treat people, with the same dignity and respect, to everyone that everyone deserves.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Miranda, it's been such a pleasure. Again, I hope to get to meet you someday. I hope to get to work with you someday. And I don't know, maybe we can go ride motorcycles or something. Who knows? Um, but
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. It was really lovely speaking to you.
yes, thank you. And guys, go check out The Cleaning Lady right now. The entire 10 episodes of season 1 again is on Hulu and Fox. And there is a lot of other things that she is out there has worked on. So go check out her work on the 100, on Spartacus, and a lot of other things. So Miranda, thank you so much. You're always welcome back. And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
All right. Thank you, Justin.
Wavehealernation, Tsunami Healing. We are out of here. Go check it out. Until the next episode.